I'm thinking something like. Yeah, so I was about to ask you how you are, but I know we're trying to keep the intros short.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Are you saying I talk too much?
What? No.
I thought you were saying like, well, I was going to ask you how you're doing, but
No, because we'd get into it.
Yeah.
Not you, us.
Oh, okay. Start over.
I'm gonna tell you what Alex tells me. I'm always on your side. Never saying something mean to you. Okay?
Thank you.
Oh my god, I almost made myself start crying.
I'm always on your side.
My god.
I like the thumb hold. That feels very comfortable.
Oh, good. That does feel nice.
I know.
Oh.
Here. That's what I'm going to start doing when I need some support. I'm just going to put my thumb up there.
That is nice.
It does. Here.
We're holding each other's thumbs. Oh, that's so nice.
It does feel good.
That's really nice.
Oh, I like the
little
rubbing action. Okay.
This is well, never mind. I was going to say it's like a clit. Anyway.
Okay.
Today we had Kate Carter.
She's lovely.
Isn't she wonderful?
Yes. Her energy's very soft and sweet.
Yes.
But then she has this little edge to her. I like it.
Right? Mm-hmm. So smart. And I was telling her, I just I love the women in Nashville, the comedians in Nashville, just proud of them, happy to be around them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And she was a wonderful guest.
Yes. She knew the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
She showed up ready to talk about her stuff, and it's hard to do. And she did it very lovely, and she's aware of her story, and I like that.
Yeah, and there's so many cool things with humor in therapy that she brought up that I'd never heard before.
Yeah.
So it's a really good
I enjoyed
episode.
that part, yeah.
Same. Yeah.
I feel like I learned from that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Mm-hmm. You guys are going to love it too. Mm-hmm. Enjoy Kate Carter.
Yeah.
Has it started?
We kind of.
We kind of just go.
Okay.
And then you're just in it and you don't know it. You just find yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. You start telling us all your secrets
Everything.
and you're like, wait.
That's it. Start. There we go.
Wait, where do you work?
Vanderbilt. Yeah.
Doing what?
Like an administrative assistant.
Oh, you said that like...
It's fine. It's just like full time, and I get really sad working full time. It's just a lot of time, like on the clock.
Yes.
Yeah.
That you're not doing what you love.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. It pays the bills and everything, but.
Is that your first time doing something full time like that?
Not my first time. I used to work for TikTok, and that was full time. That did not last long. I was a content moderator.
Oh God.
I've heard that as some of
it was terrible.
Very sad, very hard mentally. It's one of the hardest mental jobs to be a moderator for a social media platform.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Because you have to review all the awful things people are reporting as you're seeing a lot of awful stuff.
It was rough.
Yeah, because of that? Or was a lot of it just like they were reporting dumb shit?
They would report dumb shit like little kids just like bullying each other, and I was like, okay, whatever. Bullying.
We all went through it.
Right. Get over yourself. Okay. Or it would be like really just awful like beheadings or like bestiality. And that was like when they first came out with the 3-minute video option. So you have to watch the whole thing. Like you can't be like, okay, this is bad. Because you have to like tag everything. So even if like a torso or thighs are showing, like you have to tag that, not because it'll get taken down, but because like in some cultures they don't show torsos and thighs, so it's like not as like promoted there. The video isn't. Yeah, so you have to like watch the whole thing to get all of the tags and like categorize everything.
And this was just your 8 a.m.
Yeah, and I was doing that just all the time.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did you quit because of difficult, just how difficult that was?
Yeah, I was like, I'm just miserable. I don't like being on a computer all day and just like watching videos. And it's not really something where you can like, you know, like those cute remote jobs where you're like, ooh, I can kind of like go on a walk whenever. It was not that. It was like you have to watch the videos and they just like continuously keep coming up and you get your 30-minute break and then you
30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because you were like, oh, I work for TikTok, and people were like, ooh, like myself.
Yeah,
I was like,
not
oh
good.
my God.
Yeah.
Not good at all.
Yeah, like in job interviews, I'll be like, I work for TikTok. And they're like, oh, that's so fun. Oh my God. And I'm like, remember that. Remember that when you're deciding who to get. Okay, yeah, make your decision wisely because I'm so cool and I was on TikTok.
What do you want to do full time?
I'm not exactly sure. I like doing comedy. I think maybe something, I like how comedy is like a gateway into other like forms of entertainment. So like screenwriting and production and stuff like that. So I think I could see myself going down that route eventually.
Yeah. I think you're a good writer.
Thank you.
Does that you're like that
like
makes you happy?
Yeah, I do. Like I took this it was like a writing sadness through like short essays like class through Second City. Would not recommend, but sorry.
Writing sadness through essays?
Yeah, it was a good class and like I liked everybody in it. It was just like the instructor wasn't very good with like feedback.
Oh no, these are our tuning bowls. The instructor was bad. No.
Yeah. So I think like we had to do 4 weeks of essays. We got to do 4 weeks of like essays, and the fourth week I just like never got any feedback from the instructor back on it. So that's why.
This was virtual?
Yes. But the like setup of the class and like actually doing the class was really nice, and I liked writing in like essay format and doing that sort of thing. So I think maybe like publishing short essays is something I would also want to do.
What made you? I'm going to scoot this mic closer to you.
Okay. I know.
That's nice.
Like, you're so quiet.
No, you're not. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's okay. You can say it.
No.
I'm interested, but that is what I'm doing.
What made you take writing through sadness?
I went through, it was shortly after I started stand-up, and I started stand-up so a lot of the sad things happened to me very quickly within like a month. And then I came back to Nashville because I'd been out and about. Came back to Nashville and I was just like really, I was like that.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, something is bothering me.
Oh.
No, I was just like so sad and like trying to find like community and hobbies and stuff because I was just mainly like working and then I would go to bed and I was like, I need to meet people and I need to like find what I'm interested in, like find some sort of joy in life again. And so I like turned to classes, I guess, because I was like really big on school growing up. Oh. And so I think it was just like a comfort thing. I was like, I like the structure of a class. So I took stand-up classes through Third Coast.
Amazing.
And that was good. And I took some screenwriting classes, and then I took that writing sadness humor class.
You said that a lot of... Oh, go ahead.
I'm curious of what was the sadness stuff that you were wanting to work through, if you want to share about it.
Oh, yeah. That's why I'm here. I know what I came here for.
Some people don't.
It's wild to me. Like, have you listened to an episode? Everybody cries. Everybody cries. I was like, should I put on mascara today? Or is that like a fruitless effort? I had been working for TikTok and I was like, this was kind of shortly after the kind of like the last trickles of the pandemic. And so I was like, ooh, I've been cooped up. I've been living with my mom like throughout the pandemic. I graduated college and then like as the pandemic was hitting, I graduated college in May of 2020. And so I was like, I just want to like get out and travel. And so when I did the TikTok job, since it was remote, I did like a short stay in Seattle, which is great. I loved Seattle, but it was just very lonely. Like I didn't know anybody and whatever. And then
you just picked it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, seems cool.
I love
fuck
that.
yeah.
Yeah, just go do
So
it.
rainy there.
It was during the summer, so it was like
Oh,
literally
okay,
during the
nice.
best. So I'm like, I love sunny Seattle. I lived there for a bit, and they're like, wasn't it rainy? And I was like, nope, it's just the best time of the year.
Oh, I love that.
And so then I didn't really like the end of my stay was coming up, and I didn't really know where to go. And my best friend at the time, she was living in Illinois, and so I went and stayed with her for a bit. And when I was there, like we just had a really bad falling out. And then like within my first week of being there, I had like a traumatic sexual experience there. And then like the support that was also like kind of tied to the falling out with my friend. It's because like her like lack of support was just so like painful and not there. And so then I came back to Nashville from that, and
Yeah.
here I am.
I'm sorry you had that experience.
Thank you.
And yeah, the support, that's what I was wondering, like if the falling out, the support, and you don't have to share details, but what support did you need that you didn't get?
I think I needed just like anything. She was like,
Just something.
yeah, I remember after it happened, I was like doing laundry and I held up the pair of pants that I had worn that night. And I was like, these were the pants that I was wearing. And she was like, Kate, it's not that deep.
Oh.
Yeah. And so just like stuff like that really made me, and I remember in that moment, I was like, I'm never going to talk about this ever again to anyone. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to ever, because it's not that deep. Okay. And yeah, so just like some form of recognition of like, yeah, that's not how that experience is supposed to go.
Yeah.
Like, he did not listen to you, and it was bad, and just not like invalidating the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So I take it you did talk about it again to someone, or somehow you got that messaging that wasn't okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I told another friend about it, and she was like, she said, that sounds kind of rapey. And I was like,
Yeah.
interesting way to phrase that. But I was like, okay, that is like a lead, I guess. Like, I'm glad to somebody it doesn't sound like how it is supposed to be, that it sounds off. And then I didn't really talk about it much until I came back to Nashville. And then I went through a period of like telling everybody. And I was like, I thought that would heal me. I was like, if I just tell it and I like own up to it and I just like say that it happened and, it's part of my story and whatever, like it'll be.
Can I pause you for a second? You said own up to it.
Yeah.
What are you owning up to? That it feels like that when I hear that, I hear like you're owning up to something you did wrong.
Yeah.
Is that how it feels for you?
I think at the time it did. It doesn't feel that way now.
Good.
But yeah, at the time I felt there was like so much shame around it. And it felt like I was like, if I just have to say that it actually happened, and if I say that it actually happened, maybe it'll go away. And yeah.
But it didn't go away
didn't.
by doing that. But that's helpful to, I don't know if it felt like you had more of a voice back here. I mean, I think that's why we want to like get some validation. You're, I think, different than what that first friend did. Have you worked through it any more beyond?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to share?
Oh yeah.
I want to know.
I went like the next month after I got back to Nashville, I started going to therapy, and I lucked out. Oh my God, I love my therapist. She's the best. She actually knows you. She knows of you. She was like, is she into psychedelics?
Oh,
yeah.
In a good way or bad way? Some people
In a
are like,
good way. No, in a
psychedelics?
good way. In a good way. I was like, I'll put in a good word for you.
Oh,
She's the greatest. And so like we did a lot of work, and then she recommended me to the Sexual Assault Center in Nashville. Shout out them. And so I started with a group, and then another therapist there. So there was like a period of time where I was going to therapy like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I loved it. yeah.
Would you, I don't know, what would, I want the right way to word this. I started to say, what have you learned from your experience? But I think when we go through, those are, pain is catalysts for growth and learning more about yourself, and whether it's how strong or resilient you are, or creating, like, that's hard to make that decision, like to say something after that first friend said that. And then to make the choice to go to therapy purposely to dig into this thing that we normally just start trying to find ways to shove it down. What did going through that whole experience, where has it landed you?
The experience of like having gone through that and then going through therapy.
Yeah. Like, what have you learned about yourself? And just, I don't know.
I think
so many things can come from that.
Yeah. I think probably a big one, and I'm not just saying this for this podcast, a big one is learning that I am funny. Because as hard as those, like, probably 6 months of sessions were, that I was first going, I don't think I've laughed in therapy more than I did in those sessions. It was it was just a lot of fun, and I looked forward to it every week to go and talk to her.
Yeah.
And so I think realizing I'm funny and realizing that I do want to be, like, creative in my everyday life and have that be, the main thing that I'm doing, and not just work, like computer jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What can you say more about, like, laughing in therapy? What were you laughing at? Or, like, what was that like?
Well, we're so used to hearing how you can use humor to deflect, but a lot of what we want to highlight in these conversations is how, and what I've seen is it helps, you can heal by incorporating laughter in a way that lets you move through it in a way that might be a little bit easier for your brain to process. So if you can speak, sorry.
It was, I think, one way that my second therapist, who I also love, described it to me was, it feels like coming up for air. Like, we're, like, deep in the trenches and, like, underwater and, like, getting really deep, but then coming up for air, like, the laughter and, like, making a little joke here and there was like, okay, like, I have to do this to, like, come up for air so that I can go back down and, like, keep digging.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you like discovered you were funny in those moments, or like you knew that you kind of wanted to do some kind of entertainment before all of this? What?
No. Yeah. I think
that's beautiful.
Yeah. I think in, like, before this, I thought I was a very serious person. Yeah.
What? Wow.
Yeah. And then because I'm just so quiet, and even people now, like, when they learn that I do stand up, they're like, you just stand like, you're so quiet and, like, I'm such a wallflower or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, like, it's just different, like a different kind of humor. And so, yeah, like, having somebody laugh with me, like, about the, like, deepest stuff, and, like, that was so important to me, and I just am so grateful for both of them for that, both my therapists.
That's so badass, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've never heard that, like, that story. That's really cool. Yeah. Did you take the stuff that you were telling her, or you weren't doing stand-up then? But that encouraged you to be like, maybe I take this to the stage.
Yeah, because they were, like, laughing every time, and they would tell
You're
me,
like, I was crushing.
I was killing in those rooms. I'm not gonna lie. And they would tell me, they honestly, I don't know if they gassed me up too much.
No, you're very funny.
Thank you.
Yes.
They'd be like, yeah, like, all the other therapists, whenever we get out of our sessions, they're always like, you guys sounded like you were having a blast in there. And I was like, stop. Oh my God.
Did you ever, okay, curious, because sometimes, like, I'll get upset if they do laugh, even though I'm being funny.
That's
I'm
why
like,
I wanted to bring up the contrast, and I wanted to understand a little bit deeper what that felt like like why that felt helpful versus sometimes like, I mean, I like talk to my group and say, be aware people will laugh at their pain and because they don't know how to feel about it yet. And when we join them in that laughter, it can feel like we're laughing at their pain with them, even because sometimes people will laugh and it's like the go-to when we don't know what we feel. And we think I'm like, they're not trying to be funny when they're laughing. So let's not laugh with that because
it is a confusion.
You share how that made you feel, but then it seems like you were experiencing it is being used different.
Yeah.
And so I would love to hear the contrast in those things.
So it's like a two thing. Like sometimes I prefer when I make a joke and they're just like, they don't laugh because I'm like, oh, you get that it's serious. Okay. But when I make a joke and they laugh, I'm instantly offended. Like, oh, so it's not. I know it's confusing because they're like, this human is laughing, so we're laughing. But I'm like, no, this is a really serious thing. And I want you to know that.
Well, it's like the laughter. For some people, it's like the shield. And
yeah,
when your therapist is more serious and doesn't laugh in that, it lets you like kind of bust through that shield a little bit to go deeper.
Totally.
But it doesn't sound like that's what that was being used for. So it's really it's learning what it's like for everybody. You know, like there's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Is definitely what I'm learning. So I want to hear. This is helping me too.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with yours, it kind of sounds like you would make a joke and then you would kind of, I don't know if mad is the right word, but kind of be like, feel betrayed that like, oh, you didn't see through it. And that like, I actually wanted this. I think mine was kind of the opposite. Maybe. Like I don't think it was like a shield coming up. I think it was like actually me coming up. And so she was able to recognize like, oh, this is just her like personality coming through and like, let's keep getting that up because it's been like so buried.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is it. And also she has told me that she, my first therapist was very aware that I was funny from my, not to brag, from my like intake form. She said that she was cracking up from my intake form. I was like, I want to get my hands on that thing.
You can tell a lot from the intake forms.
But she said, she was like, I had to make sure that I didn't let you use it as a defense mechanism. And I was very aware of that. And she was like, I don't think we ever did. So that was great.
I think that's the big difference is when it's being used for that, or even I think sometimes in the way you might use it is it's almost like you're testing like our different parts of self. That's a protector part, this humor part. And all these parts have to gain permission from the therapist. Like, or the therapist has to get permission from all these parts to go deeper into trauma. And it's kind of like, that's gaining permission for you when you kind of put this thing and the therapist doesn't go for it. They're like, okay, we can trust her.
Damn.
Like she can handle the deeper stuff. Like your parts test therapist all the time like that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
As a therapist, it's like a video game. You're trying to like.
There's a lot of moving parts you have to be aware of and understanding, like, you know, but it sounds like she was able to recognize how that was it wasn't used as like trying to protect you, but as like a way in, like an invitation almost. Yeah. That's cool.
Well, how do you tell that? Because, you know, like we've talked about this before, like comics, when they'll like bring something hard to the stage, and as an audience member, as a human, you'll be like, you ain't ready, dude.
No,
it ain't ready.
I think
No.
my first open mic that I went to just watch, like I wasn't performing, I was just watching somebody, and he was like talking about how his dad had died.
Yes.
And I remember watching it and I was like, just as an audience member, I was like, is he ready for this? I don't know. But I mean, I've heard him do jokes about it since, and like kills. He kills when he is on stage. But yeah, I've had that experience where you're like, oh, it like you can tell it is like a little too raw.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like at an open mic, that's kind of where you do it. you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you were about to ask, like, how can you tell? And I'm like, that uncomfortable feeling you get,
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
As a therapist, you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, I look for a little more than that, but like a lot of times it's that, I don't know, you can tell when it's like a masking thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, and when in doubt, I'm not going to laugh, but I'm going to ask them how it felt that I didn't. Like, how did it feel?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just pull into the conversation. Like, are you aware that how much you laugh at your own pain? Like, that'll be my response to the joke. And they'll be like, yeah, I know I do that. And then I might say, how does it feel that I'm not laughing with you in this? Because I don't think it's funny. And just whatever that wants to bring up.
Man,
you know?
see, that's part of the reason why therapy is so dope, because people don't get that space, dude. Like with other humans, it's just so rare that you get to go to a deeper spot. Like people see you in that kind of way, you know, especially with comedians. We're always like, well, you sad? Like,
Right.
fucking loser. Fight you.
Right.
You know?
It's a bit.
Yeah. When you went, like, that was your first mic,
Mm-hmm.
and you saw somebody being that vulnerable with something dark, were you like, how did that make you feel? Were you like, I can do it?
I was like, oh, I can do this. I can get on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. And I did.
You went that night?
No. I did.
No.
No. It was at Third Coast, so like the list had already been drawn. But I kept doing like the classes, and then I eventually went to open mics. And it took me, I would need to go to an open mic and like watch everything first and be like, okay, like,
Am I safe?
yeah. That's the other thing is like,
And the answer is no.
never. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like going to a bar, because like a lot of open mics are like in bar areas, which was like, honestly, looking back, I'm like, that was kind of badass, Kate, that you went, because that was like the scene of the crime was like
Oh shit.
bar areas. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Thanks.
That is badass.
Thank you.
I'm just like caught in that for a little bit.
The first time you went, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first time you were in, you kind of realized like, oh, I'm in the same thing. How did that feel? Was it something?
I honestly am only really now, as we speak, kind of realizing that of like, oh, that might have been a little like triggering, but I think I was just so focused on like comedy.
Yeah.
And
But I will say, we've talked about this, like, I feel like you can talk about and process like in therapy and through all different types of modalities and become aware of how it's affected you and tend to the things that come up as a result of an experience you had. But then being in that same situation, whether you recognized it at the time or not, your nervous system did. And you had a different experience. And that's where like healing and rewiring happens.
yeah.
Around like you probably didn't step foot in a bar like for a while maybe, or avoided certain situations that would have felt familiar. That makes sense. But being in a different scenario, being able to move through it in a different way helps the rewiring. That's where like everything gets laid into place.
Yeah. I think it definitely helped me not like kind of fall into like I'm never gonna like have like go into that setting again. But because now I'm like in my brain, it's like, oh, that's a comedy space. That's for comedy. That's for jokes.
Yay.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
When you were doing the class, were you bringing that experience? Like, were you bringing hard stuff to the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in I didn't do anything like sexual assault related until like the fourth class. So I waited. But the first couple classes, I would still do like family stuff or like still darker or like harder topics, but not, like full throttle into that.
So if we could just dive a little deeper,
Yeah.
can we go into the family stuff?
Yeah.
Of the, because I know we've centered around the more recent thing, but if you want to give us any
pivot?
Pivot a little bit into some of the other material that from earlier.
I think the first joke I ever did was about how I think like a great aunt or something, she tried to like swing an axe at her brother's head or something.
Wow.
What?
She got like really mad. Just was like, boop, but it was turned the wrong way. And so it like saved him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like literally the first joke I ever did.
Let's go.
I know. I was like, I come from a long line of mentally unstable women. Here we go. So like stuff like that, being spanked as a kid, I talk about that, and I still do stuff about that. My dad was in I don't really talk about it on stage, but like my dad was in the military, and so that just created a certain environment growing up, like being a nerd, and
Like, can we talk about the spanking and or punishment? Because I feel like that was something that actually came up. It's been a conversation I had with somebody recently that just didn't grow up in this culture, and I just was nonchalantly talking about being spanked with a belt. And
same. Oh
and having to like go pick the belt out and wait.
Same. Oh my god.
Yeah, and they were like, "What?"
Yeah.
They're like, "That's not a nice thing to do to a child." I'm like, "That's being raised in the South,
Right.
Not just the South, but for me it was."
Yeah.
And so, what you want to speak to that?
Literally, we also did a picking of the belt situation, and you always go for like the skinny one because you think it hurts less, but then it doesn't.
It's the worst.
It's the worst one.
Yeah, you need a medium size one.
Right. Also, my dad like took 3. I have 2 sisters, and I'm in the middle. So he took 3 sticks and like whittled them down into a switch.
Oh wow!
And then wrote our names on each one.
Damn.
And then like kept it in the windshield of the car, so it was just like ready.
Just every day?
Yeah, they were just like always there.
What?
Yeah.
To just let you know?
Like if you do
It's like
anything,
a threat.
Yeah.
It's waiting for you.
Okay.
It's like don't act out. It's just stuff like that.
It's weird that like
just
that kind of thing, like I relate to everything you guys are saying. There's ways to do it that is like passed down. Like people know like, oh, what you do is you make them pick something out, then you put them in the bedroom to wait. It's weird. And there's like a pride about it. Like I remember my mom, like if some other kid was acting up, she'd be like, parents don't spank them. And I'd be like, I know.
you think it?
You're right.
Yeah.
I know. And it just felt, I mean, even until this like recent conversation, I knew it wasn't, now I don't think you should spank your children, that's not how they're learning anything besides to fear somebody.
Right.
But it didn't dawn onto me until I like was talking to someone that wasn't a part of their culture, and just to see their face as I was talking about it very nonchalantly, they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Was that bad?
yeah, like bad worse than I thought." Kind of a thing, yeah. And so it's so ingrained, like you said. It's kind of like, this is just how you do it,
Which is a lot of things, I'm sure. Of they got it done when they were kids, and they're like, "This is how we do it. This is how we parent."
When I do my spanking joke, I kind of started off and I'm like, was anyone spanked as a kid? And obviously a lot of people are like, yeah, around here. But sometimes if you go like out of Nashville, they're like, yeah, I was spanking, like I still spank my kids and stuff. And I'm like,
well, hold on, you may not like these jokes.
Yeah.
These are not for you.
Go ahead.
And like if like I went up to New York like a year ago and did some jokes just like at a mic, but they were like, you You were what? You had to do what? No.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I've been like going to I started in Chicago, but I feel like it's changed. Like I'll go to Chicago or New York, and I feel like they are so liberal, they're conservative.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're like, "Ooh, you can't talk about that," and you're like, "I lived it, so I can't."
My lived experience.
Yeah.
I'm telling my story. So shut up.
And laugh. Shut up and laugh loud.
Please. I need it.
When you are in those spaces where they're like, hell yeah, spanking, and then you do the joke, what's the reaction and how does it make you feel?
I think it will work even on the
Yeah.
because they're just like so happy to hear the word spanking and be like, that's yeah, look at your go, look what it did for you, and I'm like, that's not really. And so I feel like I know that it doesn't really feel like they're laughing for the same reason that I'm laughing at it. But I'm like, whatever. So you're laughing, I'm laughing. It makes me feel good, and it makes me look good. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna submit this tape.
Hell yeah. So most of your stuff tends to be darker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. It walks the edge of. Sometimes I'm like, this may be weird, but I like to be like, is it okay that I'm laughing at this? But it's funny
Looking
kind of
around,
a
you're
thing. Yeah. You're like, I don't know if I should be laughing, but this is funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to describe the feeling, but yeah. Versus some, you're just like, some of it is too much, or it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a sweet spot for sure.
Yeah. I like doing, my humor has just always been like darker, and I like doing it, especially I know that it surprises people, like getting that from this face.
Yeah.
Like you. And so I like surprising people with it. 'Cause I'm like,
Has your family come to see your stand-up?
my mom and my sisters have.
How did they respond?
What was that? Yeah.
They are so supportive. Like,
Aw.
yeah. And I've told my mom before, I'm like, you have heard some of my crazy jokes, like from starting out that I don't do anymore because I have learned. And like, you've seen me now, and you know, I know not all of my jokes are like super PG and stuff, and it just means so much. And she was like, I can't imagine not being supportive of you. Yeah.
That's so great.
I know. I love my mom so much.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So she's amazing, and both of my sisters are like on the same page with me. They're like, "Yep, spanking. Yep,
Spanking.
we were there. Relatable." So yeah, they're. Yeah.
And your Granny and Pa came out.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Amber has a clip.
Granny and Pa.
Yeah.
Or whatever you call them, you know.
Amber has a clip of her crowd working my grandpa, and it is the best thing. I don't think I've ever laughed that hard. It was amazing.
He was awesome.
He was. And what was so funny is he can't really hear, and so he had his hearing aids in, but a lot of the time he just turns them off so that he doesn't, because he's so introverted, and so he can just be like, can't hear you. And so I think for most of the show, he like just literally couldn't hear everything, but then you're like talking to him, and
I'm like, are you relating to anything I'm saying? He's like, no. I don't even know if he heard that part. He was just like,
nah. I love him.
They were sweet people,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Still are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both still here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Recently, we were at a mic.
I know, yeah. I know exactly what you're about to bring up. Go ahead and say it.
I'm bringing this up because I saw so much emotion.
Yeah.
So you went up and you did like rape jokes.
Yeah.
And I was enjoying it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell me your experience with it.
Okay.
Because you did like 4 minutes
Of
of rape
rape
jokes. Yeah.
And they did not go over well. Like true bomb. And I think at the time it didn't feel good. Like it didn't feel good. But then sometimes I feel like in a weird way, I have to go up and like trauma dump a little bit, and then eventually like something comes out of it, because I'm like, that was so bad, like I cannot do that again with that material, but I want to talk about that material. And so I'm like, I find the joke in like a really painful, awkward way after like trauma dumping. But yeah, I went up and did like 4 minutes of rape jokes, and it bombed. And then Amber had the privilege of going right after me, after I had bombed my ass off in this full room of like bros.
Yeah.
And so I think it was good, and I have figured that joke out.
Good.
Yeah, and it's made it into my set, and I like doing it.
Beautiful.
I think I originally was talking about my perspective was off, because was talking about it that night as if it had happened to my friend, and I was commenting on my friend's experience of it, because I was like, I think when I say that it's me, people like pity me too much. So if I like offset it a little bit, it'll help. But
you don't have the same permission,
right? And then I just sounded like an asshole.
Interesting.
And then I did it at a show that same way, because I was like, I still feel like there's something here. And I did it in a show out in, I think it was Gallatin. And it was later in my set, the whole, like I had them on board. You were there. You should know this. I had them on board, and then I did the joke talking about it as if it was my friend again. And they went dead silent, and they were literally, one lady went, "What are they teaching you?" Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll just do my last 3 minutes, and you guys aren't gonna laugh because you fucking hate me now. And they did. But then I realized, I was like, I have to talk about it from my perspective, because it's like I can't comment it about somebody else and have people be on board. Like,
right.
It's one thing if you're like, I am giving you permission. This is my story I'm telling you, versus like throwing your friend under the bus.
Whoa.
Yeah. But I think I don't know. I'm curious if subconsciously, like sometimes it's a way to externalize it that makes it easier to talk about. And just because you're having a room full of people observe you doing that, it's not clicking the way you want it to, but I think it's necessary for you to have done that.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. As not fun as it is to like have everybody be like, oh, that was, we saw that. I think it is like part of the process, and like part of my process, at least. Like I have to go up and eat shit.
I mean, yeah, that's a mic.
Everybody does. Yeah.
And I will say, watching you do those jokes, not that it matters what I was thinking, but I was like, this is so cool. Like, you know, I just think you're funny and a good writer, and like, there was no like, oh God. You know, it was like,
as a comedian, do you recognize like she's working, like when, like, oh, she's working through this right
totally
now.
Yeah.
Did you feel that uncomfortable feeling where you're like, you're not ready for this, or you're just like, the jokes are off?
No uncomfortable feeling.
Oh, okay,
it was
great.
just like mic energy.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
where you're working on jokes.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's why when you got off and you were like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, girl, you good? You good?
I almost.
I'm about to go do the same thing. Tag me in.
I think there needs to be like some kind of group that's like stand up for trauma, where you can
Truly.
work through. It's just another modality to work through something, to where the permission's there to say whatever you need to say.
That would honestly be awesome.
Okay, we're starting a group. There you go.
Great.
That would be great.
That would, honestly.
That would
I
be
really
so
like
fun.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
You can help co-facilitate it, because I don't know how to teach people stand up.
Okay.
I can be there for
Just
the
let 'em
emotional
talk.
support.
You can be like, I felt uncomfortable for that.
Yeah.
We'll
Work
hold up
on it.
signs.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable, comfortable.
Like, which part was that of you?
Yeah.
We're on to something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really think that would be really nice. Doing like darker stuff. And like, so I'm thinking about that joke that you switched to being about your experience. Now, instead of them, like, I feel like with darker stuff, it's got to be rewarding in a way to have the people in like a type vibe, and then like a like, it's like the ultimate like comedy is redirection, right? Like switch. So I bet that feels so satisfying to be like, got you, bitches.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Because I know I like getting them, because I do some suicide jokes. And there's one in particular where it's like, how is she going to get out of this? And I love feeling that way. I'm like, you guys don't think I can get out of this, but I'm going to get you. I get you every time.
I love that.
I love doing it.
Does it upset you when they don't laugh? I mean, I guess every comic gets upset, but like on a deeper level, because it's like really close stuff.
A little bit. I mean, yeah, I'll get off and I'll be like, no, I'm not funny. Or like, that was too much, or like, that was my line. Like I can't, that's as personal as I can get. But then it never, like, it just, I need like a couple days or a week to be like, okay, get over yourself. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially if they don't laugh at certain jokes where I'm like, I know, like your best jokes, and you're like, everybody always laughs at this.
Well,
and then
you
they don't
guys
do
aren't
it.
funny.
Right. I'm like, fix yourselves. Go to therapy. I don't know what to tell you. You're unhealed, actually. It's not me. I'm not the problem.
Yes. Yeah.
That's funny.
It's so interesting about that woman being like, having to feel like she has to speak out about what are they teaching you?
I know. I was like,
the anger in me wants to sit down and be in comment. School or like stand up. What was she saying?
I think about like my morals.
You need Jesus.
Yeah. Like, why would you say that about your friend?
Well, I mean, that makes sense because you probably wouldn't have gotten that if you were saying it about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this because I hate as a comedian when people are like, tell me a joke. But do you want to?
But tell me a joke.
Like as a, yeah.
Do you want to tell the joke?
Yes.
Or what it's about? Yeah.
I will. So the joke now is that I was on a date with a guy. I told him that I had been sexually assaulted, and he asked what I was wearing. And I was just shocked that he asked me a question.
That's hilarious.
And so when I did it originally, I think when I did it the night that you saw at the mic, I was like, my friend went on a date and she told him that she had been sexually assaulted. And he asked, what was she wearing? And I said, oh, he asked you a question. And so then it was just like off. People were like, whoa, you were a bad friend. And I was like,
you missed it.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so by turning it to me, which I think ultimately, like, I want it to be myself.
You want to what?
I always want it to be about myself. Just like my stand-up, I want it to be personal. I think it is better that it is like from my perspective and not from this like fictional person's.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's a really cool. I'm glad that you like kept going and shifted it, because that's like the art, the fun, that like part of it, you know, of being like, no, I want to say this. Like, I know this can work.
Yeah.
Instead of just giving up, like shifting it is.
Yeah.
And then to have it work, you're just like, oh, I'm a champion.
Yeah. 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 I think 100%. I like from the beginning, I had this, I was like, I'm gonna make jokes about sexual assault. Like, I'm just gonna, like, I want, because people do it. Like, Anthony Jeselnik.
I was going to say, men do it.
Right. And it's like, if that joke can be funny at the expense of the victim, like, surely there are jokes that are funny that are not at the expense of the victim, that are like from the perspective of the victim.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's a fun little challenge, but I will do it because I want to, and it's fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I just curious, have you like talked to that friend since? Nice.
I saw her at McKay's.
Oh, she lives here?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't talked to her, but like 2 or so months after everything happened, I was at McKay's, which is like a bookstore, in Nashville, for those of you who don't know. And she just like walked down an aisle, and I was like, and we both had this moment. We like passed each other. We were like, and then we didn't talk and just like kept going. And I was like, oh,
God.
yeah. So I have not spoken to her since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy sauce. That is wild when you see them in the wild and you're like, no.
I was like, I thought this was statistically impossible that we would ever meet again.
Do you think, have you ever thought about like producing a show that's like about like darker stuff or anything like?
No.
Oh.
I mean, now that you say that, I'm like, that would be fun. I think, honestly, that's not a bad idea, because sometimes, like, you have to have a crowd that's like ready for it and that likes darker humor. Because if they are just in for like yucks, then you're not gonna get it with me. So to like have them come in like ready for that would be good. But I think maybe my hang up would be just a pool of dark comics in Nashville to like pull from, maybe. But
yeah, that's true.
I think that would be cool.
But you do a writing thing every Sunday, right? Which is really cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Oh, is she growling? Oh, I thought that's what you were.
Okay.
I thought you like motioned to her.
No.
Look at her face.
She's like, I didn't do anything
Who,
wrong.
me?
Darcy's got some dark shit to talk about. She's like that.
Yeah, come to my show.
So we get there for emotional support.
Well, what's like okay, so we're wrapping up. Is there any questions you have?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm sure I could think of one, but I was just listening to y'all talk.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I never asked this because I'm just gonna ask it. What are like some comedy goals?
Comedy goals. Ooh. I think right now I really want to do like, my summer goal is kind of like, I want a new 10 minutes.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm like, I've been doing the same one for a minute, and I just want some fresh stuff. So I think that is like a short-term goal. I would love to like open for somebody. That would be cool. Yeah.
Just anywhere?
Yeah.
Love it.
Not picky.
You're going to meet that goal like quick. You better get some more goals. Man. Those goals are going to be like.
It's like, if you just do it, like, I'm not that far into it, but if you, like, you can grow really quickly.
Yes.
It is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
How fast you can.
If you're just like focused and not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like somebody. Unless.
Oh.
No. Hard to find sometimes. Yeah. Like somebody was like, oh yeah, maybe you can have a goal of like being on Zanies in your first year. I was like, you're crazy, doing Zanies before my first year? And then I did it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that is possible. So yeah, I guess I do need to get some like bigger. But
no, those are great.
Opening for somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And maybe possibly doing my own show would be fun. But I would really want it to be like, I don't want to do a show for the sake of doing a show. I want it to be something like I would spend money to go see this.
Very smart.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a whole lot of work, right? So you want to be having fun.
I know.
Yeah.
I've heard.
But you're so smart and so funny, and I'm just like
you.
excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Appreciate
How
that.
long have you been doing it?
A year and a half.
Hell yeah, brother. What is something that makes you like feel like this?
Wow. Can I have the demonstration again one more time? It makes me like, okay. I think being outside, just like going on a walk will always make me feel good. Muting people on Instagram.
Oh.
I just learned that was a thing. And I have been like muting a lot of people. No offense. There's no shade. I'm just like, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
Floating.
Oh. You
Doing the
float?
sensory, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Those are my.
Those
and
are-
a sleep routine. I just started doing a sleep routine. I was like, oh, now I get it.
What's your sleep routine?
Just like go to bed, shoot for like 10:30, but usually that just means like I actually go to sleep before midnight.
Ugh.
Which I did not do before. I'd stay up until like 3 for no reason.
Yeah. How long have you?
No reason.
How long have you been? You're just up.
Maybe like 3 months.
I'm sorry.
3
Like
months.
3 months.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Change your life.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, obviously everybody's always like sleep routine,
Mhm.
get your sleep, and then I was like, no, I don't need it. I'm young. I don't need it.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing it, and I'm like, oh, I get it. I get why everybody loves it now. You changed me. Yeah.
And in your new apartment by yourself.
Right.
No distractions.
No distractions.
Ugh.
Some of the not going to sleep for no reason. Have you heard of sleep protesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You haven't?
No, but I want to hear it because I think I have it.
I mean, I definitely had it, but it's like if your typical day is always dictated, like my schedule is hour by hour dictated, so you don't really have much control during your day. It's always given your time to other things. So it's like you get home and you have this time to relax. You'll sleep protest because you're trying to savor this time where you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
But you're normally scrolling
Damn.
on social media and eating your brain.
All out.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
But it's the sleep. You're like protesting because I was talking to a doctor about this and I was just like, I literally will, it's like I'm fighting going to sleep.
Yes.
I'm like nodding off and I'm trying to like watch something on TV or like when I'm obviously so tired that if I just laid down without anything, I'd go to sleep like that, or I could spend 2 or 3 hours
Yeah.
just in that sleep protest. And so it's about finding other ways during your day to get some of your time back. So you don't feel like you have to catch up and get it all in there. But it's like that. I'm like, I need downtime to not do anything. It's like people, you get invited to go somewhere, but it's like to go straight from work to this thing. I'm like, I got to have some time where I'm doing nothing before I can go jump into something else.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can start sleeping better when you get more of that in your day.
Love that.
Yeah.
And then where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at It's Kate Carter, KateCarter. And I'm not anywhere else. I'm not on Twitter or X. I'm not on Facebook or YouTube. I was like very anti-social media for a while there, and I finally got back on Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram, but anywhere
For
else.
now.
For now. And not on TikTok.
Wow, no TikTok. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no TikTok?
I know. I'm a little scarred.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. You're so wonderful. Thank you for coming.
No, you guys are lovely.
It's been wonderful.
Love both of you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I want
it's
all
been
the
fun
best
to
for
hear.
you, all the riches and all the glory.
I
Yeah.
want the same for you.
Thank
You
you.
already have it, but all the more.
You're wonderful, Kate.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to I'm Fine, It's Fine podcast. My name is Amber Autry. I'm a comedian based here in Nashville and internationally touring. You can find me on all platforms at Amber Autry Comedy.
And I am Melanie Reese. I'm a trauma therapist here in Nashville. You can find me across all platforms at Trauma Therapy Nashville.
We really appreciate you listening so much. And if you want to give a little extra for free, make sure you're liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing, sharing with your friends, talking about it to literally everyone you see, because it helps so much and we're so grateful for the extra effort.
And if you like what you're hearing and you want some bonus material, that includes interviews with other practitioners and all the juicy stuff that Amber and I talk about that doesn't go into the normal podcast. We'd love to have you subscribe. You can find the link in our bio, and $5 a month, you can do it.